In this unit, we are going to talk a lot about linear equations. We will look at different forms of them, we will look at writing equations for them, and we will look at graphing them. The first form that we're going to look at, and the most common form, is what we call slope-intercept form. So before I dive into slope-intercept form, the definition of a linear equation is an equation whose graph is going to be a straight line and can be written in the form y equals mx plus b. So we've looked before at rearranging formulas for a specific letter. So given an equation, if I can rearrange it to go into this form, it will be a linear equation. This form is what we refer to as slope-intercept form. The reason we refer to it as slope-intercept form is because it is very easy to pick out our slope and our y-intercept. Our slope is going to be the m in the equation, and our y-intercept is going to be the b in the equation. The y-intercept is the point where the graph crosses the y-axis. Looking at a couple examples, if I look at example 1, if I'm asked to find the slope and the y-intercept of y equals 2x plus 3, all I say is, well, my slope, according to my formula, notice is the letter in front of the x, as long as y is by itself. Well, y is by itself here, so I can go ahead and say my slope is 2. And again, as long as y is by itself, my b, my y-intercept, is the thing that's being added on. So my slope is m, and my y-intercept is 3. So again, I use the abbreviation, but again, slope is 2 and y-intercept is 3. Looking at example 2, again, I have to first make sure that y is by itself, which it is, and as long as y is by itself, I can go ahead and say that my slope is the value in front of the x, so 7/6. My y-intercept, again, as long as y is by itself, will then just be the thing that's being added on. Well, what is being added on? A -4, because again, sign belongs to the number it's in front of. Moving on to the next example. Again, I first need to make sure y is by itself, and it is, and then I can go ahead and say that my slope is the thing that's right in front of the x. Well, as we've discussed before, if nothing's written in front of the x, it's just a 1. My y-intercept is then the thing that's being added or subtracted on. Well, since nothing is being added on, I'm going to go ahead and say my y-intercept is 0. Finally, looking at the last two examples, now instead of being given the equation, now I'm going to write the equation. So again, the equation I'm going to go ahead and write is going to be y equals mx plus b, where my slope goes in for m and my y-intercept for 2. So I'm told that my slope is 3 and my y-intercept is 2. So I'm going to go ahead and say my equation is y equals 3x plus 2. And finally, looking at the last example, very similar to example 4, I'm told the slope and the y-intercept, so my formula that I'm following is y equals mx plus b. So I'll have y equals my slope, which is 3/5, times x, plus my -1, which is the same thing as just subtract 1, which is my y-intercept. Again, we will look at a few different types of ways to write linear equations. This slope-intercept is going to be our most common, the one that gets most frequently used. Notice again, the most important part about it is we have to get y by ourselves, or y alone on one side first, and then understand what both m and b mean. Make sure you have these notes with you in class so you can use them as a tool when you do some practice problems.